Hi guys, so I thought I would do a video as I received my Legge Asec decoder today. So obviously being eager and loving a new shiny tool, I thought I'd get a video out to share. For those of you that are getting yours, have a little bit of a insight into what you're getting, and those that have umming and ahhing as to whether they're going to buy it, you'll kind of get to see a first hand what comes in the kit. Okay. So as any normal GJ kit, you get your holographic logo. It's pretty evident in the types of cases that they come in. These cases are slightly bigger than ones for sort of say the Ultium picks and everything else, but again you've got a nice weighty box there, so you know you're not picking up a box of air, so you can kind of feel straight away before you've even opened this, you can tell where your money's gone. Again, strong cases to keep them protected in the van. And here we go. So on the inside, as you'd expect, everything comes within, it's not just chucked in the box, you know, everything comes in its own container. The photos and the cards are laminated. So we've got our chart for marking down our heights and any permutations that we may want to try if we don't get an open. Okay, and you get your dry white marker. Now this is the sort of things, these are the attention to detail that with other kits you don't always get. So you end up getting post-it notes or stick-it notes and everything else, and pens and pencils, and trying to carry them in all your kits. So we get a chart for when we take our plasticine reads. Okay, now there's benefits to this, because the purpose of this kit is to make it even easier compared to the previous Legge Asec decoder, in that if you do get any of these readings wrong, you've got the potential now to go through and find the fault rather than running through different permutations on your key. So now it's just a case of swapping your pin, and because this kit can adjust between 1 and 2 heights, it makes it a lot easier for any mistakes to be rectified pretty quick, rather than keep taking the key bits off. So ideal solution, and we'll try and do a video. And here we go. So this is the piece de resistance, the main bulk of the tool. Okay, the most important part. Now straight away, the weight of this, the feel of it, just the feel of the materials, straight away you can tell that this isn't, you know, this isn't just been done in a backstreet thing on a lathe. Not that there's anything wrong with people who make their own tools, obviously, but when you're buying them from other companies, you know, you at least expect to feel quality, and that's extremely weighty, you know, balanced, feels nice, you know, the knurling feels nice, smooth, got your clicker system. And again, it's not squeaking, it's not, you know, it's not making any noise other than the click when it moves in. So for those who are not familiar with a pin and cam system, and you're just used to the other systems out there, which is the plasticine reading kits and the makeup keys and the reader wire kits, this is essentially your, take your plasticine read, get your heights, and load them in. Okay, so now we've got 7 spacings up here. Now this is for the purpose of whether you choose to do all 7 spacings on the key. You don't have to, again, as the normal kits, you only need to do 5. With this kit, so the fact that you can get all your 7 spacings on there just makes it, if you want to make a symmetrical key, or you can just do your 5 heights if you're doing left hand, or 5 if you're doing your right. But again, if you do your 5 spacings, you can, you know, in essence put that in a key machine after and cut it if you've got all of your heights right. Okay, so back here is where you can get all of your readings. So you've got all your spacings on here. So if you're doing it right hand throw, and your position 1 would be at this very end pin, so you'd push the handle all the way into 1. Okay, when you rotate that, position 1, which is up here, would lift up and down. Pull it out 1 spacing, we're on 2. That then would take us into position 2. If you're doing it left hand, position number 1 would be here. So then what we would do is pull this all the way out to lever number 1. Now they're all marked on there, so you can't go wrong. But position 1, position 2, and obviously 3, 4 and 5 will share the same lines, but they're basically reversed. Really simple once you get your head around it, but yeah, definitely feels a nice piece of kit. In here, again, now this feels, this oozes quality now as well because of the weight of it. So we've got our pins. Position 1, you don't need a pin because that is, position 1 is going to be the height of the blade, the flag on the tool already. So position 1's already been covered for you, so you don't need to load in a pin. So you've got position height 2 all the way up to 7. On the leg locks and Asec, 1 is the smallest, lowest cut, and 7's the highest cut. So other locks it's the other way around, 1 will be the highest. So that's something to just bear in mind, guys, when you're working with these locks, that some of these locks throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. So 7 on these locks is actually the highest height, and number 1 is the lowest. The other good thing with this is a lot of people accidentally, I've done it myself plenty of times, is you confuse yourself, mix your pins up, and then you spend forever and a day trying to work out your heights. Now on these have been, these lines that are milled into the thing are actually for that purpose. So if I take a pin 2 and we lay that in there, we can see that that's the right height. But if we were to try and lay that in a position 3, okay, we can see that there's a little bit of a gap. So even that's dealt with to make your life a lot easier and quicker for sorting out the pins. Also in the kit, and again, something that is going to be super handy, especially if like me you've got fat fingers and you struggle to pick up pins, and or on a cold night and you're trying to handle pins, this is where this comes into. So now again, it's not anything new, but this has been redesigned and it feels again nice and balanced. The way it's ergonomically in your hand feels really good. Knurling again feels good. Again, doesn't feel just like something that's been thrown together. Again, what with these if no one's seen them before? So let's just say we want to take the second one in, height number 3. Okay, all we would do is just push down on the tool. That's now out. Okay, now if we were loading it into the tool or back into the kit, all we would do is put it in there. I know it's come off already, but I'll do it again for you for the purpose of the video. Okay, so we've got our height there, put it in, push the plunger down, and there we go. Simple as that. Saves all that dropping pins and trying to twist them around in your hands. Furthermore, a lot of you will be familiar with this. It's basically the same sort of kit that you get in the other Asec leg decoder kit. You get your jig for setting the plasticine. Again, these locks always, all of these mortise locks that use this plasticine reed, consistency, excuse the pun, is key. The more consistent you are with every lock that you do, the better you'll get, because the reeds will look the same, and each time you take a reed it'll be more consistent because the plasticine on the key is more consistent. So you get your blade for trimming it down, you get your plasticine, and you get your left and your right key for doing your plasticine impression. Again, as always, as I said earlier, you get everything in the kits with the GJ range of tools, and they're not just thrown together kits, they're well thought out, no expense spared, and you know exactly what you're going to get. Should you have any problems with the tool or break anything or lose anything, all of these parts are serviceable and replaceable. And again, you know, even if you break it yourself, you admit the fault and you explain, and going at GJ Locks, as most of you be aware, will quickly sort out any problems that you have and get you back out on the road. So yeah, so that's my first impressions of it. Personally, me, I knew I was always going to like this bit of kit. Some people would say I'm biased, but in all honesty, this is why I like these kits, because I know I can go to a door with this kit and everything is here in order for me to open that door. Okay, I've now got the added bonus that I can do some adjustments instead of making up a key, taking everything out, changing it. When you're turning these, so let's load a pin in. We're loading the tallest of pins. Okay, now I might have to do that, so I need to get myself to position 1. Okay, so you imagine you're at a door and you're one space in height. One of your levers you've misread with the plasticine, you're one height out. Normally you'd probably have to strip everything down, put all the new key bits on. Okay, with this it gives you the ability, as you can see, for that to move. Okay, you can adjust that height. Now you can see that's not just a small amount of motion, you're getting the equivalent of around 2 heights, 2 to 1.5 to 2 heights, more 2 I'd say. So with that, if you are 2 heights out on one of your levers, you've got it covered. Okay, you don't have to keep taking the tool out and stepping it up 1 height at a time. If you've got a couple of levers out, just for argument's sake, 3 and 5 typically always going to, well, not typically, always are going to be the same. Now, if for argument's sake, let's say they were both number 5s, but the plasticine read you took, you thought they were 4s, you loaded a 4 into position 3 and 5, turn the tool and it doesn't open, you can then go through and test the lock. Okay, so and you go through, you test them heights, and anything that gives you a little click or a little bit of movement when you press on it and lift it, you know that you can step that up. So you could step that up 1 height, or you can go along and test both of them, and by testing them, that would probably be enough for you to get it open. If not, you just take the pin 4 height out, replace it with a 5, and the same with 5, put the tool in, and away you go. Okay, now as I said, you do get a little bit of an overlift. Once you go past that point and you go a little bit further, all of the pins will lift slightly, so it's pretty much got almost like an overlift feature, which is more handy for when it comes to locking the locks back up. It just allows you to sort of give them levers a little bit of a lift and a bit of rotation on the curtain, to get them locked up again. And some locks, again, it depend upon wear and tear, a slight lift on all of the pins at the same time may be the difference in getting the lock open. Okay, so in all, great bit of kit. So what I'll probably do now is do a video, set up a video to open a lock. What are we running at now? 13. Maybe, oh, actually, I'll tell you what we do. We'll do it now. So let me get one from the shelf. Oh, I've got some up here. Okay. Let's just move this aside for a moment. Okay, so I've got a new box of 10 of these. Right, I don't want to see the keys. Okay, right. Okay, so with the keys, I'm going to chuck them in that bag out of sight. Okay. So we've locked the lock. Let's bring in the device. Okay, and we're going to open the kit. Need to unwind these. Okay, so we're going to do it from the left. So we want the left hand key. So the bit of material, because we're going to take a read from the back of the levers, we're going to use that key blank. Okay, get our plasticine. Let's get our key jig. And again, these key jigs are a godsend. Gone are the days if you're trying to use a knife and every surface to try and level out your key blank. Okay. Oh, it looks like we've got a little bit of glitter in our plasticine. Right, we don't need huge amounts of this plasticine because it goes quite far. Okay, so for those of you who've never seen how the jig works, we're going to load the key into the jig. And then what we're going to do is just push our plasticine into the void. Okay, making sure we get good even amount in there. Okay, and then all we need to do is just trim off the excess. Okay, now this is a personal preference of mine. Okay, I'll just put a little bit of talc not that much. Not that's going to make any difference how much you use, but you don't need that amount. And all that does is that just adds as a means as for the levers to not really stick to the back of the for the plasticine to stick to the back of the levers. Okay, so when I'm inserting the key, I'm going to be careful not to drag the plasticine across the cap. Okay, once the key's in, we're going to take a reading, so we're going to turn it. Okay, we're not forcing it, we're not trying to snap anything. Bring the key back down, and again, when we're pulling the key out, being mindful not to compress the plasticine into the cap. Now we've got, that's a really good reading actually, and straight away there's one read in there in position 4, which is clear as day. Okay, so that's our position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5. Now 3 and 5 are always going to be the same. Okay, position 4, that's our 3, and it seems to be that every lock that you get, you tend to have a 3, at least one 3 in there, and if you're getting 3s in there straight away, they're easy to identify. And the same with any 1 or 2 heights. There's no 1 or 2s on there, so we can rule out 1s and 2s. We've already worked out our 3, so we've got our 3s. So the only heights in this lock now that we need to work out is 4, 5s, 6 and 7s. Okay, 6 and 7s are pretty evident, but they are quite close. So that first one there is going to be a 6 or a 7. Okay, in position 1. You can work them out, but for the purpose of this, I always start with a 7. So when I build this key, I'm going to do a 7 on that. Position 2, I'd probably go with, so that's probably going to, 7, so I'll probably go 7, 4, don't we 7, 4, 5, 3, 5, 7, 4, 7, 4. No, they're going to be too high. Actually, I think what we're going to do is do 7, 4, 6, 3, 6, because they very faintly they're marking across the tops, which is what a 6 does. So that's what I'm going to go for with that. So I'll write that down so everyone can see. So position 1, we'll go with a 7 but possibly a 6. Position 2, we're going to go 4, 6, definitely a 3 and a 6. Okay, now I could have just put the 6 down here, but again it's just personal preference. But again, because I'm pretty proficient with these, because this side of it is the same as the other readings, you can kind of see on here how you can go about getting your readings. Okay, now the 6s, I chose to go 6s for that position 4 because you can just see on the card there's a slight rub to the top, and on this one here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, I can just see that it's not white where the talc was, so it's gone across the talc. So I'm going to go with 6s on them. Now with the pin and cam, if I wasn't sure, if I loaded them up, as I first said, I thought they were a 5. I could load 3 and 5 up as a 5 and then test that after. But if this is the right configuration, then we can try that and we can see how that works out. Okay, so let's put that over there for now. Okay, ideally you'd want to load some grease into this when you're doing it on a door, just to sort of save the pins from falling out. I mean, I don't think they will, but again, personal preference. So position 1, we've got a 7/a 6. I'm going to go for a 7. I always do that on the first go. So we're taking our pin loader, position 1, we're going to drop that in. Okay, position 2, we're going to go 4. Position 3 is a 6. And already you can see how much easier it is using this tool. Position 4 is a 3. Position 5 is a 6 because it's the same as 3. Position 3. Okay, so that is our tool. That is our key made up. Now, if I wanted to be finicky and make the key symmetrical, I would load position 1 and 2 over here and make the key symmetrical. I don't need to, but the option's there should you wish to do it. Okay, now if I load this in position 1, okay, and you watch what happens. So position 1 here, when I rotate that tool, okay, you can see how much higher that's overshot. So I want to make sure this tool, that this key is sitting at the right height. I don't want no rotation on that tool at the minute. So okay, so I'm going to load that in. Let's rotate that. Oh, and there we go. This first. This is why I like the Asec Legge Decoder, because when you get proficient with the reads, a lot of the time they can become one read openings. Now some locks, depending upon wear and tear, could cause us problems. Okay, so let's create some of them scenarios. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, for the sake of the video, is first up we just change one of them heights. Okay, so let's change that 7 to a 6. So we go 6 4 6 3 6. Okay, so let's just change position 1. We take that out. Okay, we load the 6 in. Okay, so now let's push them all back down to the right heights. Okay, so position 1, 3 and 5 now all the same heights. Now we know that's not right, but if we load this into the lock and we turn it, it doesn't want to open. Okay, now the reason it doesn't want to open is because we've got one of the heights wrong. So if we set this tool on position 1, which it already is, back off the tension, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to unset it again. Doesn't want to open. Okay, so we give position number 1 a little bit of a lift and it opens. Okay, so you can afford to be one position. You can afford, let me show you the car, you can afford to be one height out, because this position here should be a 7 for the correct read. Okay, so we've managed to open it on the top read and we've managed to open it on the bottom read. So see if we can go one step further. Okay, so let's say we get position 1 and 2 wrong, so we keep key position 1 as a 6 still. So this time what we could do is go 6 3 6 3 6. Okay, so if I take the tool out and we change position 2, so position 2 is a 4, so if we change that to a 3, okay, reset the tool. Okay, so now we've got 6 3 6 3 6. Okay, again we know that that's the wrong configuration. Put that into the lock, turn it, we know it's not going to open. Let me just move you back slightly. Okay, we know that's not going to open, so we know that position 1 is wrong by 1 height and position 2, so we go on to 2 as well. Position 1, so we're just testing them to see which ones. So we're getting, I've got to click on 2 then, so that's telling me straight away that something's not right. Okay, so I'll be happy now to change to move that up 1, because the tool's giving me feedback that's telling me that. Okay, so now what I will do is see if we can go for a bit of an overlift and see if that'll make any difference. Right. Okay, so you can hear that click on 2. Hopefully it's coming up on camera. Yeah. Okay, so 2 we know is wrong, so there's no reason why. So we, knowing that that's wrong, we're going to take 2 out, which is a 3 currently. We're going to move that up to a 4. Just going to load it in a bit skew width into the picker. Just drop the height. Okay, so we're now at 6 4 6 3 6. Okay, so we're 1 height out now. Go back to position 1 and it's open. Okay, so we haven't had to put the whole combination in, but we was able to work it out. So what about now if we actually what I'll do, I think I'll leave it there because I think I'll only be just going over old ground again already. So as you've seen straight out of the box, the first lock this is to come in contact with, we've got an open. Straight away I can tell that's going to be something that is going to be my main use on leg locks now. So hopefully that's helped, guys, and we'll see you again in the next video. Cheers, bye.